and the rent on the upstairs apartment at his house, the tenants above there moved out, so now the landlord has the ability to jack up the rent $300 a month on that new open apartment.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm seeing it happen to my friends right now that are having their own rent raised $200 to $300 with only a month or two. I think it's 2 months notice they have to give, maybe one rental period.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing the gentrification on the northeast side of Grand Rapids. We've been seeing it on the northwest side of Grand Rapids big time with the Bridge Street project, which
southeast side over here now.
Southeast side is now
bad.
In the sights of developers right now. So where are all these people going to go?
I don't think they care, and those are the questions I wanted to ask. And this is the hard. You can't have a candidate forum without them handing you Post-it cards, and then you have to give them your question, and they pick which questions to ask. So,
of course,
you want to ask questions like I wanted to ask them: how many people are you willing to leave homeless? Mm-hmm. And at one point, Nathaniel Moody says, "Well, what we need to do is buy up this land and make sure people got land." And I'm like, I don't think he understands that the city of Grand Rapids is the number one property owner in the city of Grand Rapids. Okay, so if what you're trying to do is buy up the land and give people some land, you own it already. You are the city commissioner. You own the land. Why don't we turn some of these parks into some place somebody can live? I mean, it's great that your kid's got somewhere to play outside, but if he's sleeping on a bench, does he really want to go climb on the merry-go-round when he wakes up?
Yeah, and here's the other thing you were mentioning, the property that Grand Rapids owns. Look at the complex that they have on Monroe Avenue. They're trying to sell that to developers.
Yeah.
Where they have the garages to repair the city vehicles. They're selling that. Kent County already sold a portion of their riverfront property where they've had their facilities for decades.
Yeah, they did just sell that for... Was it part of Riverside Park? Something they sold for $5 million or something.
Yeah. And that's going to get developed. We talked about it with the Benton Harbor Public Schools, about the high school being the last lakeside, riverside development that hasn't been developed. And that's why they're trying to shut down Benton Harbor High School, because the developers want that property.
Yeah, they want to do this whole Riverway project, too. Is that along the same watershed, I'm wondering?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they're going out to Grand Haven, so I don't think Benton Harbor's on the way.
No, the Benton Harbor wouldn't be on the way there.
Right.
No, you're talking about the one that
the Riverway
Terry
project.
Lynn Land's husband was trying to push through. Terry Lynn Land, the former Michigan Secretary of State, former senatorial candidate who bombed miserably.
Well, and the gentleman who's actually overseeing that Riverway project right now is the same man who ran against Justin Amash and Pat Miles back in 2010. He was supposed to be the Republican pick, I believe, but then Amash sort of showed up on the scene and upset him. He ended up beating Miles, beating Miles later, and then he took the seat. But he was also the VP of Spectrum Health, and now he happens to be overseeing the Riverway project. So you can see there's, a thread through the oligarchy of all of these things between Lynn Land, who was Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
It's
owner of that god-awful castle over on 28th Street Southwest. Ugh.
Also slumlord to most apartment complexes now, from Woodfield to York Creek to all of the...
Yep, I was just going to say York Creek. Yeah, if you folks want to have a little better idea of some of the power structure and some of the people that we talk about on the show in the Grand Rapids area, a great resource is grid.org, GRIID.org. Jeff Smith does tremendous work, and we really encourage you to read some of his writings. Oh, boy, and I want to get to this one. I want to get to this really quick. This is from CBS News. We've been talking about ICE a little bit. As a matter of fact, there's talk that there might be ICE raids this weekend, and a lot of cities are saying, we don't want any part of this. A lot of the city police departments, which is surprising. It's refreshing to hear for a change.
Right, finally. Finally, people are stepping up and understanding that there's enough support. for the immigrant community to stand up and do what's right here. I know that there have been ICE spottings in Wyoming already this week, just on Buchanan Street. I saw pictures yesterday of immigration vehicles. So I have no doubt that when the raids happen, and I can't believe that in 2019 in real life I'm talking about raids, ICE raids, because it just brings me back to every book I've ever read about the Holocaust, and I don't know how this happened so quickly or how we ended up here, but all you can do right now is if you see an ICE truck out in our neighborhood, call GR Rapid Response to ICE. Don't make a random Facebook post. Don't even message people who might be involved with their organization, but actually call Grand Rapids Rapid Response to ICE. And they can help immediately by sending somebody over to investigate, by making sure that the right people are there to help the family if someone's deported or arrested. It's the best thing you can possibly do to get them help the quickest. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get you their phone number in just 1 second.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I want to play this. This is audio of a CBS News report. Jamie Yuccas was interviewing a former spokesperson for ICE when agents with the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General's office showed up knocking on the door, interrupting the interview. This is some scary stuff, and if you don't believe us, let's play it right now. This runs about 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
Tensions were high when ICE agents in February carried out a series of raids in the San Francisco Bay Area. The protesters had been tipped off by Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Former ICE spokesman James Schwab says that was irresponsible.
She was putting your officers' lives potentially in danger.
Correct.
It sparked this exchange.
Here's my message to Mayor Schaaf. How dare you?
How dare you distort the reality?
After the raids, ICE acting director Thomas Homan said that because of the tip, agents failed to make 864 arrests.
That made you uncomfortable.
Completely false. Yes, that made me extremely uncomfortable. We end up arresting 232, which is 16% higher than our highest estimates. So internally, that was considered a success. But what they publicly said was that she let people go.
Schwab had issued a statement saying some of them were able to elude us thanks to the mayor's irresponsible decision. He says his bosses in Washington insisted more than 800 wanted criminals remain free.
They know it's a lie. It was just shocking to me that no one wanted to fix that.
The longtime public servant abruptly resigned.
In 17 years, in the military, at the Department of Defense as a civilian, at NASA, and now at Homeland Security, I have never been asked to lie. I have never been asked to perpetuate a lie, which is the same as lying.
During our interview,
I'm so sorry.
Some unexpected visitors dropped by.
No, we can't speak with you.
Well, why are you guys here?
I can't speak with you about that. But
they identified themselves as agents from the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General's office.
I'll talk to you.
Okay, great. When can we talk?
As soon as I contact my lawyer.
Okay.
Were you surprised to see them?
Completely shocked, unexpected. This is intimidation. And this is why people won't come out and speak against the government. To actually prepare and stand out in front of the public and perpetuate something that you know is absolutely false is not okay. And no special agent from Department of Homeland Security is going to stop me from saying that.
ICE told us they could not put a number on how many people avoided arrest due to the mayor's warning, but that even one criminal alien on the street can put public safety at risk. And they wish Schwab well.
He says he's speaking out now because he's been contacted by a number of other government employees who are struggling with the same issue of false statements by the administration. Jeff?
Jamie's outside ICE headquarters in San Francisco. Quite a moment during that interview. Jamie, thank you.
Unbelievable. I mean, what has this country come to? And people wonder why Edward Snowden fled to Russia? I think right there's your proof.
Well, and I mean, how... They're the FBI, right? Is that who it was? Or the secrets? How did they not know?
It was the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General's office.
If they are really keeping our homeland so secure, then shouldn't they have known that guy was doing an interview? Why did they show up right then?
Well, that's why. It's intimidation.
It
we
is
don't
intimidation, but yeah, I mean,
we don't want you talking to CBS News.
you're
or
making
any
it
other.
real obvious, though, to the whole world, whose side you're on, and it's not the side of the people. So I hope people are paying attention and seeing that, how quickly it can be them,
Oh, absolutely. And it really can. And we're starting to get a little low on time. There's a story that we're not going to have time to get to, but I want to mention it. We've published this on our Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show, you will find this story. This is by Derek Hutchinson, writing for WDIV in Detroit. A former inmate at the Macomb County Jail is suing the county and 8 jail guards. He claims that they beat him and tased him for no reason whatsoever. And here's the thing. We actually had a listener that wrote and said, well, there should be surveillance video of this stuff, shouldn't there? Well, I had to remind him that we talked about a story that happened in Muskegon County where a guy was arrested. I believe he violated probation. He was a sex offender. Doesn't really matter what he did. Problem was, he was prescribed Klonopin for depression and whatever. You're not supposed to quit Klonopin cold turkey. And the county refused to give him that medication. They don't prescribe that medication to anybody if you're locked up in Muskegon County. So this guy started having seizures in his jail, and he was ignored, had over a dozen seizures on tape, and died in a pool of his own urine. When this story came out, Wood TV requested video of the jail, the surveillance video. Muskegon County told Wood TV the video doesn't exist. Here's the problem. Wood TV got a copy of the autopsy report, and the medical examiner lists watching the video.
Oh,
so at that point, Wood TV sent another FOIA request, which basically said, you give us the footage or we'll see you in court and you will lose. So they had no choice but to turn the video over, and it's very disturbing.
Oh.
When somebody tells you that the cops have beat you up, you better believe them. Sorry, the police are not your friends. And that's a theme that I'm going to use on this show very often. So just this is unbelievable. Yeah, so check out that story about what happened in Macomb County. He was in there, he was serving his sentence over weekends. They did a lockdown on the Macomb County Jail. He asked why they did a lockdown. They separated him from everybody else and then just started in just beating him.
And then they murdered him.
Well, they didn't murder him. He survived.
Okay.
This guy survived, surprisingly. So make sure that you read that piece that's by WDIV about the guy in Macomb County. It's just some scary stuff. Katy, thank you for hosting me and allowing me to do the show over here this week while Jack's in Europe.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and you're going to be joining me next week?
Yep. Let's do it
awesome.
Again.
And for our announcer, Kristen Cook, please support independent media and support the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.